runaway trains, and dinosaurs. The COVID-19 virus, coronavirus, and crime. We're talking all that, plus an update on Lori Vallow, the missing children. All of that and more right here on today's Charlie Crime Buster. Well, good day. Welcome once again to Charlie Crime Buster. We're here talking with you in this terrible, terrible crisis that we're facing in this nation today. COVID-19. Have you ever thought about what happens to crime during times like these? Well, we're going to update you. We're going to get you right up on what is exactly happening out there with crime and COVID-19. We're also going to bring you some stories about dinosaurs and runaway trains, all of that and more right here on today's Charlie Crime Buster. Well, friend, there is a perpetrator in America, and that perpetrator is killing American people. It is called COVID-19, or the coronavirus. And while silent killer is wrecking vices and what and how, now has it impacted crime in America? Well, we're going to talk about that. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Charlie Crime Buster. We welcome you to join people from all over the country. Yeah, thankfully we have followers from Florida to Washington State. And if you are new to the program, we want to welcome you to go to charliecrimebuster.com. There you can find how you can subscribe to the program if you haven't already. And also, you can find ways to help us get the word out by joining us on Facebook, Twitter, and all those other social platforms that you might be familiar with. So let me invite you, go to charliecrimebuster.com, subscribe to the podcast, get involved with the family. We're going to bring you crime news you can use, along with safety tips that will keep you and your family safe in these uncertain days. Well, we begin our special session this week where we talk about crime and the coronavirus with a very, very unusual plea. An unusual plea from police departments, several of them across the country, with a special message and a request, tongue-in-cheek, to criminals. You see, it seems that several police departments now across the country, well, they're asking criminals in tongue-in-cheek social media posts, well, to stop illegal activity during the coronavirus pandemic. Well, police in Ohio, Wisconsin, Kentucky, Utah, and even Washington, well, they've called on criminals to take a break. To take a break and allow the officers to respond to coronavirus-related issues. The Salt Lake City Police Department, for example, they requested in a post on Facebook just a couple weeks ago that all criminal activities and nefarious behavior to cease until further notice. They went on to say, quote, "We appreciate your anticipated cooperation in halting crime and thank criminals in advance." That's what the department said. They went on to say, "Hey, we will let you know when you can return to your normal criminal behavior." Well, it's good to laugh and smile in these dark days. Well, this almost reminds me of the warning of a police department that issued about dope pushers. And they were talking about dope pushers and how they use tipped scales in weighing dope that they sell. That particular police department, well, it invited the pushers to bring the dope to the police department. That's right, where the police would weigh the dope for free on honest scales. Well, I wonder how many crooks followed up on that one. But how about the plea to cease crime? Did it work? Or, more likely, what has really happened to crime during this worldwide crazy time? Well, cops are telling us there's one thing that's not working, and that is there's not a decrease in car crashes. Instead of a decrease in car crashes, well, there have been more of them in the past few weeks. That's according to a Florida state trooper. You see, you can figure that people are driving faster with less traffic. They have a whole lot of things on their mind and can be easily distracted and tempted to text while driving. In either case, please, when you do have to travel on the roads during your stay-at-home time, or if you are working essential work and are driving to and from work, slow down, be alert, Keep your eyes on the road. Avoid distracting driving, and never, never drink and drive. You can consider that your Charlie Crime Buster public service announcement. And now, concerning crime and the COVID-19 virus. Well, there's now a new crime, and we're going to tell you about that one in just a moment. But first, let's take the time to update you about Lori Vallow. You see, there is someone who's probably feeling very snug about this virus. You see, the infamous Lori Vallow, whose 2 children are missing, and who is associated with possibly 3 untimely deaths, who, by the way, married Chad Daybell just days after Chad's wife died of mysterious circumstances. Well, they both believe that Christ is coming in July of this year. And along with that will be what they call the tribulation, a time when all kinds of disasters will take place, including pandemic-like diseases. Did you hear that? Worldwide diseases, just like what we're seeing today. You see, her religious beliefs, I believe, is driving both of them to justify their actions, which includes murder and probably has something to do with her 2 missing children, Tylee and JJ. Now, we have recently published several Lori Vallow podcasts that you may be interested in. We have one called Lori Vallow, Where Are Her Children? Another one, Lori Vallow, What Were You Thinking? And then another one, Lori Vallow, Who is Your Spiritual Hitman? Well, for more on Lori Vallow, let me encourage you to go to charliecrimebuster.com, and there you're going to find the podcasts listed. You can click on them and listen to them at your own leisure. Also, you can sign up as a subscriber, and you can get our weekly Crime Talk podcast delivered weekly right there to your device. But on today's podcast, along with COVID-19 and crime, I did want to give you an update on the Lori Vallow case. There is some new news now. One update tells us that she may be closer, get this, to getting arrested and charged with her involvement with her 3rd husband, Charles Vallow. You see, Charles was shot in her home this past year. He was allegedly shot by Lori's brother-in-law, who I referred to as Lori's spiritual hitman. And that hitman, Alex Cox, well, believe it or not, he also just recently passed away, again with quote-unquote mysterious circumstances. You see, this could be the crime of the century once it all unravels, and we find that this update does come to us to tell us some good news about maybe some prosecution that's going to take place in the future. This update comes to us from Fox 10 Phoenix News. You see, it seems like there was an email that was written by police in Arizona, and that email was leaked to Fox 10 Phoenix. That email revealed that Vallow could soon be indicted in relation to the death of her ex-husband, Charles Vallow. Charles, again, was shot and killed by Lori's brother last year, but Lori was never named publicly as a suspect at that time. The email was sent on March the 24th by Detective Nathan Moffat of Phoenix Police. He went on to say in that email, "We continue to work on Charles's case and are confident we're getting closer to getting Lori indicted for her involvement in Charles' death," unquote. Now, Vallow is currently being held on 2 charges of desertion and non-support of a dependent. Through reports have suggested that she has no intention of cooperating with officers. 5 months after Charles, who was 67 years of age, died, well, 5 months after that, Lori married Chad Daybell in Hawaii on November the 5th, 2019. And get this, just last week, it was revealed by East Idaho News that a wedding ring may play a key part in the authorities' investigations. The wedding ring, a size 4 sterling silver southwestern style, it was purchased on Amazon for $35.99. That was on October the 2nd, 2019. 17 days before for Chad Daybell's precious wife, Tammy, again mysteriously passed away in her sleep. Well, there's much more mystery here, and we're going to keep you informed. Again, go to CharlieCrimeBuster.com to get caught up on the Lori Vallow case. It will be interesting fodder for you to consume while you are homebound. And now, we're going to report on some new crime that's associated with this virus. This comes to us from Flint, Michigan. Michigan Live reports this story. Prosecutors there have charged a Mount Morris man with 3 felonies after he allegedly touched several items in a grocery store while claiming to have COVID-19. The county prosecutor, David Layton, has charged the 26-year-old man with harmful substance, personal falsely exposed, malicious destruction of police property, and assaulting, resisting, or obstructing police. The charges carry 5 4-year and 2-year time as felonies. Around 10:50 a.m. on March the 27th, the township police responded to a Kroger store at 7188 North Saginaw Road for reports of a disorderly person. A store employee had called 911 and was saying that a man was walking around the store with his hands down in his pants and touching and pushing around shopping carts, all the while saying that he was infected with COVID-19. The man also was verbally aggressive toward store employees and was grabbing shopping carts from customers in the store parking lot after they were done using them. And when police arrived on the scene, they saw the man matching the suspect's description in the parking lot. After a brief discussion with the man, an officer arrested him and took him to the county jail, where he remained lodged as of Saturday afternoon. Now, while police were taking him to the jail, the suspect kissed a window in the police vehicle, leaving visible residue in a seemingly attempt to further spread the virus. That's what the prosecutor says. This was a disturbing incident, he says, that has placed many people in fear for their health and safety, and has disrupted an already distressed situation as residents attempt to carry on with essential everyday routines. That's what Layton, the prosecutor, says. He goes on to say, our number one priority is the safety of our community, and we're doing everything we can to hold accountable people who would do harm to others in any fashion. Now, M Live, who reported the story, they're not disclosing the suspect's name at this point. So what else is happening with COVID-19 and crime? We're going to get back to that in just a moment, but first, it's now time for our courageous citizen story. And first, you're going to have to ask yourself, what does a dinosaur have to do with defending yourself? Well, this comes to us from Deltona, Florida. You see, a Florida man was shot by a mother of 3 after deputies say he broke into their Deltona home early Tuesday morning because, now get this, he thought that dinosaurs were chasing him. You see, it appears that the suspect had ingested some bad weed. Now, the Volusia County Sheriff's Office said this happened at a home on 2600 block of Libby Court. According to deputies, a 32-year-old man by the name of Joseph L. Roberts, that is, he tried to break into the home around 5:40 a.m. He did that by shattering a front window. The woman inside, a 42-year-old mother with several teenagers in the house, she called 911. She said, I don't want to shoot him, but I'm going to have to. Get out of my window. Get out of my window. Well, Sheriff Mike Chitwood said during a press conference that the mother gave White several verbal warnings to leave. Those verbal warnings didn't work, and when he didn't, she opened fire. Well, White, he was airlifted to Central Florida Regional Hospital in Sanford with what is called non-life-threatening injuries after being shot in the forearm. Chitwood went on to say, he's lucky she was a bad shot. Chitwood said they're seeking enhanced penalty now for committing a burglary during a national emergency. The sheriff there goes on to say, well, I guess the only expectation and explanation is watch where you're buying your weed at during this time. And this homeowner, this mother of teenagers, she becomes Charlie Crimebuster's Courageous Citizen of the Week. All right, now back to our feature story, coronavirus and crime. We shared with you a plea for criminals to halt their crime, but did they? Well, of course not. But crime did drop in large cities, with the exception of some areas. Care to guess what those are? Hang on, we're going to tell you all about it. You see, New York City and Los Angeles, the nation's most populated cities, well, they are seeing a reduction in crime as streets becoming increasingly empty. That's during the coronavirus outbreak. This is according to reports by the Wall Street Journal and the Los Angeles Times. Serious felonies, murders, and arrests have all dropped in New York City during the week of March the 16th through the 22nd, compared to 2019. That's what the Journal reported. And L.A., Los Angeles, reported a 5.8% drop in crime this year compared to the previous year. That's according to the L.A. Times. This decrease in crime within two of the most major cities in the United States does come amid the increasing change in people's behavior during this outbreak. Schools canceled classes, companies moved to remote operations, and state implemented safety measures, including stay-at-home orders. This was all in an attempt to limit the spread of COVID-19. You see crowds disappearing on streets and in other areas. That's what the New York Commissioner Shea said and told the Wall Street Journal. This has translated to a decrease in crime. Serious felonies dropped by 16.6% in New York City between March the 16th and March 22nd, from 1,604 felonies in 2019 to 1,337 in 2020. Murder rates saw the biggest drop, with an average of 85.7%, decrease from the prior year for that week of March the 16th through March the 22nd. However, there's something that actually increased. Can you guess what it is? Car thefts. Car thefts increased by 51.5%, with 103 thefts this year as opposed to last year. Now, arrests also decreased during the week in question from 16%, that was from 835 in 2019 to 701, again according to the Wall Street Journal. Los Angeles arrests also dropped during the first 15 days of March by 14%, from 3,406 to 2,944, dropping the daily average from 300 to 60. That's what the L.A. Times reported. Now, this reduction in arrests can partially be attributed to an effort in Los Angeles and other areas to try to decrease this crime, or try to decrease the coronavirus people being infected out there on the streets. So, less people on the streets, less chance for people being infected. However, not all cities, large cities, can report this. In fact, Chicago saw a 43% increase in killings during 2020 as compared to 2019, which some officers are attributing to a massive reorganization within Chicago's police department. That was according to the Chicago Sun-Times. Well, despite the outbreak, officers are still called into the line of duty. And the coronavirus has given some bad guys, unfortunately, some ideas how to get away with the crime. This comes to us from Lexington, Kentucky. You see, Lexington police, they're seeking a suspect in an armed robbery who, get this, was wearing a surgical mask when he committed the crime. The call for the armed robbery from Cash America Pawn at 212 East Circle New Road came in around 10 a.m. and the suspect, he flashed a West Virginia driver's license to get into the store. And Lieutenant Andrew Daugherty of the Lexington Police Department said he then threatened employees with a blank pistol and fled on foot with money from the store. Now, police did not catch the suspect at this time, and they're still actively searching. Daugherty says that the suspect is about 5 foot 5 inches, 140 pounds, and he was wearing a hooded jacket. He is believed to be armed with a handgun. Police did not disclose the amount of money that the suspect took. You see, this is happening now that more people are wearing masks. There's always some thief out there, some crook out there who wants to take advantage of it. Now, there's something else that's happening along with this, and that is hate crimes. And we're going to get to that in just a moment. But first, what is that? What is that out there that I'm hearing right now? Well, there's that crazy music again, and that means it's time for Charlie's Crazy Crook Story. Crazy Crook Story, and this one, it actually comes to us from Louisiana there. And it's about a Louisiana woman who's wanted for second-degree murder. And it appears that this lady was apparently unhappy with the photo that officials used on social media to help bring her to custody. And so she decided to vent about it. She went on to say, "That picture ugly." Precious Laundrie, who was still at large at the time, commented on the mugshot uploaded to the St. Martin Crime Stoppers Facebook page. Now, Precious Laundrie, if you are always welcome, we want you to know you're always welcome to head over to the sheriff's office and we'll take a new picture for you if you want. That's what Crime Stoppers responded. Or you can just wait and take it when someone turns you in to collect the $1,000 reward. Well, believe it or not, soon after that post was updated to say, well, Laundrie then turned herself into law enforcement. And the post went on to say, "Thanks for all your tips and information." Well, I guess she just really wanted that new mugshot really, really bad. She didn't like the other one, so she turned herself in. And that, my friend, is our Crazy Crook Story of the week. Hey, and speaking of crazy things, there are some crazy things. This comes to us from Channel 6 News. And it's kind of breaking news. An engineer unintentionally drove his train at high speed. Actually, not unintentionally. Let me correct that. Intentionally. The engineer intentionally drove his train at a high speed, derailed it in an attempt to hit the U.S. Navy hospital ship Mercy. That was the one docked in Los Angeles to help with the COVID-19 outbreak. The Pacific Harbor Line train, well, it careened off the tracks this past Tuesday, crashing through concrete barriers and slamming to a halt just about 250 yards from the medical vessel. That's what authorities tell us. And the engineer there, Marino, 44, of San Pedro, he intended to slam into the ship Mercy. He told investigators he considered it, quote, suspicious, and did not believe that the ship is what they say it's for. That was according to a complaint filed by prosecutors. Prosecutors go on to say he allegedly told a California Highway Patrol officer, "You only get this chance once. The whole world is watching. I had to. People don't know what's going on here, and now they will." Well, video from inside that locomotive showed Marino holding a lighted flare during his derailment. Marino has been charged with train wrecking. That's an obscure federal violation by the U.S. Attorney's Office, and it carries a maximum penalty of 20 years in federal prison. As you recall, the Mercy arrived on March 27th at Los Angeles Port. This massive floating hospital was sent to treat non-coronavirus patients that would free up local medical centers who find themselves overcrowded with the infected. And it's going to remain there for as long as it's needed, in spite of the fact that this other crazy man decided to derail a train to try to hit the hospital ship. Well, our feature story is COVID-19 and crime, and there's another unfortunate turn of fate that is along with that virus bringing our country to a halt, and it brings to us more hate crime on the streets, unfortunately. Federal law enforcement is warning of an increase in hate crimes against Asian Americans as this coronavirus continues to grow. That's according to a new FBI analysis that was obtained by ABC News. The FBI, they do assess hate crime, and they have been assessing hate crime incidents against Asian Americans. Likely, they say, it's going to surge across the United States due to the spread of the coronavirus disease. You see, that would endanger Asian American communities. That's according to the intelligence report, which was compiled by FBI's Houston office, and it was distributed to local law enforcement agencies across the country. Quote, the FBI makes this assessment based on an assumption that a portion of the U.S. public will associate COVID-19 with China and Asian American populations. You see, this has left much of the nation in near lockdown, this pandemic thing called COVID-19. It's caused thousands of deaths globally, and there's going to be a lot more, we're being told by the president and others. But it did begin in a region in China, in eastern China. And the analysis also noted that there's already been a surge in reports of hate crimes and lists a series of incidents, all the way from Los Angeles to Texas. That document detailed a March 14th incident in Midland, Texas, in which 3 Asian American family members, including the 2-year-old and 6-year-old, were stabbed. That's right, stabbed. And the suspect indicated that he stabbed the family because he thought the family was Chinese and that it was infecting people with the virus. FBI spokesman Lori Vallow, she said she would not comment on the document, but did stress that we do want to assure the public that the FBI remains committed to ensuring national security and pursuing violations of federal law. Now, statistics also do show that the Asian population in the U.S. grew by 72%. That's between 2000 and 2015, and that makes it the fastest growing ethnic group in the country, according to Pew Research Center. And then there was another 22-year-old man who was charged with another assault, and this assault was actually turned toward sheriff's offices. And that was before coughing on a deputy in Martin County Sheriff's Office in Florida. Perez, he was arrested Sunday on several charges, including driving under the influence, driving without a license, and threatening a public servant. He was being held on $26,000 bond. It's unclear whether he actually contacted the virus or not. But Martin County Sheriff, Snyder, he says, quote, "We have zero tolerance for this despicable behavior, and anyone who threatens health and lives of my deputies will face the maximum charges." Well, Snyder's mandate closely aligns with that of federal authorities. You see, more and more people are trying to use this coronavirus as a weapon. And then there's another interesting arrest that took place this last week. That was a pastor in Florida who refused to stop holding a packed church service. He was in violation of coronavirus restrictions. He was arrested this past Monday by a local sheriff who told the preacher that he was putting his followers' lives at risk. Pastor Rodney Howard Brown, he was booked on misdemeanor charges of unlawful assembly and violation of public health rules after flouting social distance orders at the River at Tampa Bay Church. You see, he's been an outspoken opponent of social distancing. He claimed his church has machines that can stop the coronavirus, and he was vowing to personally cure the state of Florida himself. Well, the sheriff didn't buy it. He said his reckless disregard for human life put hundreds of people in his congregation at risk, thousands of residents who may interact with him this week in danger. He did not respond, that is Brown, to immediate requests for comment. He did turn himself in, though, to a neighboring sheriff's office. He was booked and released within 40 minutes. That's according to jail records. All right, these are crazy times. These are difficult times. These are frightening times. But let me give you some suggestions, some lessons to learn from COVID-19 and crime. Number 1, never let your guard down. Just as you are practicing social distance lifestyle, learn to practice situational awareness. Now, this does not mean that you need to go around being obsessed and afraid to live, but rather live your life safely by making yourself aware of what is going on around you at all times. Learn to see things that could cause you danger and become more alert. But becoming more aware of your surroundings, it can be easily done in this idea of social distance living. But this can also carry over to the place that when this crisis is over, you can live safer as a result of it. The second thing we want to suggest to you is don't forget to look out for your loved ones. Check in on your family and friends. Call them, text them, email them. You may find one in need of help. Be responsible and keep others safe by practicing cleanliness. Wash those hands. Keep your distance. Go out only when absolutely necessary. Did you know that there are people who are affected? They're affected and they're still going out into the community. Do not be that person. Last but not least, say thank you. Say thank you to healthcare workers and first responders who are out there working to keep you and all of us safe. Don't forget the correction officers who are putting themselves in harm's way to protect you from some really bad people. Appreciate those who are protecting us and those who are working on the front line in facing this invisible enemy that's taking lives. You're very on